This is James Fox with another video tutorial for QuickBooks Pro 2013. In this tutorial, we are going to take a look at the parts of an invoice in QuickBooks Pro. Now, to open up a new invoice, you can simply click on the Create Invoices icon here, or you can go to the Customers menu and then click Create Invoices. Either one of those choices will bring you to the Create Invoices screen that you see here. Now, if you're using QuickBooks for the first time, the Create Invoices screen might look a little intimidating. However, depending upon your business practices, some of these fields can be ignored because you may not need to use them. Now, the first thing that I want to point out is your choice of templates, and they are located here. Now, I'm going to be using QuickBooks default Intuit Product Invoice template, but there are a couple of templates that you can choose from, and they are the Intuit Professional Invoice. You also have the Intuit Service Invoice. Now, there's a packing slip that you can use if you are shipping products, and you can also use a Progress Invoice, which is something that we'll be covering in another lesson. But for this tutorial, I'm going to be using the Intuit Product Invoice. Now, let's take a look at one of the most important fields, which is the Customer Job field. To enter in a new customer, you can click on the drop-down arrow and select from your list, or you can click Add New, or you can click Add New and create a new customer if they're not in your list. Now, if you look towards the right side of the screen, you will see a cluster of fields, and the first one that should be addressed is the date. You can simply enter in a date by clicking the calendar icon here and selecting your date, or you can type in a new date by entering in a 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and a 4-digit year format. Now, just below the date field is the invoice number field. This field will be automatically populated every time you create a new invoice. QuickBooks will keep a running count of the invoice number, so this will be one of those fields that you don't have to address on a regular basis. The next field that we're going to cover is the Bill To field. Now, if you select a customer that has already been created, and if that customer has a Bill To address already listed in their customer information fields, then this field will be automatically populated when you select that particular customer. If you did not enter a Bill To address when you created the customer, then you can type it in at this point in the Bill To field. The next field is going to be the Ship To field. And just as with the Bill To address, when you created a customer, if that customer already has a Ship To address entered in their profile, then this field will be automatically populated. But if not, then simply type in a Ship To address in this field. Now, the next field is the PO number field. PO stands for Purchase Order. A purchase order is a document that lists the products or services that a customer wants to buy. It will also include the agreed upon price from the vendor, a stock or model number, and the address to which the items must be shipped. Now, the purchase order will have a unique number assigned to it so that the buyer can easily reference the items once they are delivered by the seller. And that unique purchase order number is to be entered in the Purchase Order field. Now, here is a sample purchase order from one of Joe's Landscaping's customers. Here they have the purchase order number and the items that they want to purchase. Now, a customer is going to send a purchase order to a vendor, and in this particular sample, it says that they want to purchase 3 red roses, $50 each, totaling $150. Their purchase order number is 2. So for this example, Joe's Landscaping will type in the number 2 for purchase order. Having a purchase order is beneficial for both the vendor and the customer because it gives each of them a reference in case there are any discrepancies. Now, the next field that we come to is the Terms field, and this is going to dictate when do you expect payment to be made from your customer. Now, QuickBooks has several default options, and you can create more if needed. The Rep field is a field where you can indicate a primary salesperson or a primary customer service representative that assisted the customer with this sale. Now let's move on to the ship field. The ship field is used to indicate when the items were shipped, if you are shipping any items at all. And you would enter the date in the same format as the date field, which is a 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year format, or you can simply click the calendar icon and select the date from there. The via field is where you're going to indicate how the items were shipped or the company that shipped the items. There are currently 4 default options that you can choose from, but you can also add more by clicking Add New here. Now we come to the F.O.B. field. Now F.O.B. stands for Free On Board, and this field is used to indicate at which point ownership of the products is transferred and who bears the risk of loss during transit for merchandising transactions. Now there are 2 primary options for using F.O.B. They are F.O.B. shipping point and F.O.B. destination. Now if you're using F.O.B. shipping point, that means the buyer accepts ownership when the goods depart the seller's place of business. And the buyer is also responsible for paying shipping costs, and the buyer bears the risk of loss or damage while the goods are in transit. Now the other option is F.O.B. destination, and that means the ownership of goods transfers to the buyer when the goods arrive at the buyer's place of business. And in this scenario, the seller is responsible for paying shipping charges, and the seller bears the risk of damage or loss in transit. So there are 2 primary options for F.O.B., which once again are F.O.B. shipping point and F.O.B. destination. The choice you make in this field once again will rest upon your business practices. Now let's take a look at the columns located on the invoice. Now the first column is called quantity, and this is pretty self-explanatory. This is where you're going to enter in the number of items that you are selling. The next field is called the item code. This is used to select the name of the item that you are selling. And next to the item code is a column labeled description. Now if you have typed in a description for the item when you created the item, then this field will be automatically populated when you select the item. If not, then you can simply type in a description here when you select the item. The price each column is going to be the price for each item that you're selling, and the amount field is going to be the total amount that the customer is going to pay for that item, and the calculation for this amount field is quantity times price each. So if the quantity is 3 and the price of each item is $40, then the amount field will display $120. Now the next field is the tax field, and this field is going to be used to determine whether or not an item is taxable or non-taxable. And that's going to depend on the type of item being sold and the type of customer that you're dealing with. If it's a non-profit organization, then the item is going to be non-taxable. Now moving towards the bottom of the invoice, you have another tax field. Now this tax field is different from the tax column because this is where you're going to indicate which state or local sales tax rate must be applied for this customer. And here are some sample sales tax rates that I have already created. Now the sales tax items must be created prior to applying them on an invoice. Now those are the major parts of the invoice. In the next lesson, we're going to create a new invoice so you can see all of the parts in action. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please send me an email. Once again, my name is James Fox, and I'll see you next time.